you guys are all having a good first part of your August and keeping up with all your message center posts that you've been dealing with. Went through, got ready for this, and there was not a ton, but there were some important ones that I wanted to make sure that you guys got some information on. The first one, kind of a nice little advancement happening here with the SharePoint Online side of things. So as you know, we have a variety of different web parts that we have available to us as we're creating SharePoint pages. Well, we're now getting another AI boost to that. So being able to create throwing a chart web part on there, but have AI create the chart for you automatically, right? So I can go ahead, a couple different ways I can do that. I could just actually open up Copilot on there and say, hey, create me a chart for this page saying what I really need, like in plain language, and upload my relevant files. Or you can go to the web part toolbox in the chart section. There's an AI category, and then you can choose which one you want specifically. Make sure that you go in there and you tell it what you really want. Now, the nice thing about it is it's not done. You're not done with it as soon as you're done with that chart. If you want to adjust things, you can actually use Copilot to be able to adjust things, or just go into the toolbox to be able to edit out data, look and feel, those types of things. Now, people who have page authoring rights on that site have access to this web part, but it does require the Microsoft 365 Copilot license in order to be able to use the AI features in that. So that's already started rolling out. You might be seeing that already, but it should be ending here at the end of this month. Another SharePoint Online piece, and this is more on the admin side of things. So if you're familiar with the Everyone group or the Everyone Except External Users group, those are kind of the notorious ones, especially if you're trying to clean up your SharePoint sites. And that's making sure that not everybody has access to everything, because AI-powered search, as well as Copilot itself, will pull all that information in. So technically, you don't want to necessarily be oversharing. So there is a little bit more detail that's available inside the SharePoint Admin Center. Specifically, if you go into Data Access Governance, or DAG area. Number one, you're going to need a SharePoint Advanced Management licenses or Copilot license to be able to access this. But this is going to give you a item level and file level reports that give you more information about what's going on with that, and to confirm what needs to be remediated. And that's the important piece, right? So make sure your admins know about this change, and it's happening here in August. All right, let's move to the Teams side of things. And those who have Microsoft Teams Rooms, Android and or Windows, you're going to get this much needed report here. It's already been rolling out, but should be finishing up here at the end of August. Thinking about building level insights for your rooms. And specifically, it could be Teams rooms, or it could be any shared devices. But they have to have those licenses, right? That pro license for the rooms and the shared device license in there. So you're going to get just a little bit more insight as far as what's going on. Specifically, what buildings and what rooms have high utilization. So you can account for those. They may have more issues, so you can be able to station somebody there at prime times, things like that, or adjust, right? So maybe some people are not using a room ever. Well, what's the reason for that? Either it's down, or maybe it's just not needed to that particular building, right? So you can use those insights to help you out later on. Some more Teams pieces, and there's a change happening with Microsoft Teams in general with live captions. And if you're feeling with live captions, you have a couple different little options as far as the panel, popping it out, go to the top, go to the bottom. Now you're actually going to have a right pane, consistent with some of the other tools that you have within Teams meetings. Plus your settings are going to be in there too, so you can adjust some of those things. So that's definitely something you want to let your users know, and that's happening here for targeted during the month of August. Worldwide, it's coming out mid-September. GCC, GCCH, and DoD is in mid to late September. All right, on the Copilot side, this is an interesting one, or a good one, I feel. So what's happening with right now, it's going to start with PowerPoint in the web version. You're going to be able to have the ability to upload and create custom skills. And really that skill is a very, very focused ability to be able to have, the way as I like to do things, right? So maybe it's an executive summary skill that I set up, and this is how I want that skill to look and feel. Maybe it's an ROB type prep skill, or even a brand check. Make sure that everything is good. You can then call that skill in Copilot now, and you actually upload those and create those skills inside this. And that will give an enhanced capabilities when you're in there. So I don't know, I've played around with being able to create slides and doing things without the skills and then adding the skills. It just allows me to tailor it even more so than I'd done in the past, right? So specific things that I want to have. So that change started in late July and going to mid-August. And so it should be done here. You should be seeing that. Again, that's the Copilot licensed people would be able to have access to this in the PowerPoint web version at this point. All right, the other thing on the PowerPoint, and this is not necessarily Copilot related, but it's more about being able to have access to those branded templates. And this is using something that's called the brand kit. And the brand kit is part of something that we're doing within the Copilot area, but it's available then, so I can actually have my templates published out through this brand kit, which is something that's been missing for a little while. And now it's going to be accessible through the Backstage in PowerPoint, the desktop version of it. All right, so that's happening here late August to mid-September. All right, so a couple quick mentions that I do want to go through, some things that are happening on the classic Outlook side of things. So these two here, we have some changes that are happening. Again, classic Outlook, right? So those who have not toggled the switch to the new version, which I do know there's a few companies that are still in the classic version of it. A couple things you're going to see is Copilot settings are going to go into the file menu. So that's a big change. And then the other thing too is, and that's happening in July, end of August. And in September, this is a nice little feature where if you highlight something inside, text inside an email, you're going to be able to then actually prompt Copilot from that and take a look at just that content that you actually highlighted, which is not available currently, right? So keep that in mind, some big changes. For those who are utilizing Viva Copilot dashboards and Copilot agent and Copilot Studio agent reports, you're going to have a little bit more flexibility when it comes to creating and saving your Power BI reports in there. So just get more of a custom view of what that adoption information is. There are some changes happening here with Exchange Online. And probably something that should have been out there for quite a while, but the ability that it'll automatically prevent somebody from an admin or anybody else for that matter to be able to create a dynamic distribution group that has the exact same setup and properties as an existing one. So it will reject that and kind of give you an error message saying, hey, there's already one with that information created, create a new one, different name, so on and so forth. So big change there. Some things on the SharePoint side, specifically about some little changes in the command bar menu that is happening in there. Also, there is going to be a change as far as in Teams, just making sure that the preview capabilities is exactly the same across all experiences when you're in Microsoft Teams. So if I'm opening up a PowerPoint or an Excel or Word, it's going to have the exact same feel and look. No matter what you do. All right, from the Teams Town Hall side of things, the ability to be able to upload a background image, and that will apply to everybody who has their camera on and is presenting, right, as part of that. Understand that as part of the Manage What Attendee Sees feature. And that's the organizer can get that set up. So it'll override whatever backgrounds they currently have, and it will throw that information up there. Then last on this one is this restricted content discovery enhancement. And this is another tool that organizations use to be able to help roll out Copilot and other AI tools and be able to say, hey, I don't want content from these particular SharePoint sites to be discoverable or available through search or Copilot. So now they're adding even more features so that files in general will not be able to be that are a part of that particular search group. It'll remove all the entry points in there. You're not going to be able to see any of those within Copilot. There were some residual pieces that we're being able to see, so they tightened it up, and now it's a much better experience overall for that restricted content discovery enhancement piece. All right, the only thing that's happening here, Eric, that's a good question. From my understanding, it does not require Teams Premium. Nothing was really said as far as that upload backgrounds and manage what you see feature. Does not require the Teams Premium capability. So you should be good there. All right, the only thing from an admin action, we had a lot of things that are off the plate. We had a lot of things that were happening in July. If you guys remember the whole info path thing, we finally got over that. Now we're moving forward. The only thing that was added is there's an Exchange EWS piece that's happening on October 1st. If you are still utilizing EWS, understand there's some changes in here happening for free busy mail tips and calendar sharing. The one thing that's interesting about that is if you're not ready for that change starting October 1st, there is a method, or there's a form that you can fill out to be able to extend, but you're going to only extend. It's not going to give you on a permanent wait list. You need to make sure that you get off all of those things as well. So I think that's actually everything. I was looking to see if there was any more questions. No questions. As always, make sure that you keep up to date on everything, as you saw in the other slide, talking about all the different community things. There's some really good sessions that are out there. And I think I saw Michael threw something else out there, a resource roundup from Microsoft Messaging Center. That's a good session as well. But also know that there are community hubs that are out there for your favorite apps out there, and they will many times throw information out there. So you'll get information about Copilot, you get Teams, those types of things. And don't forget about the roadmap. That recently got an update. If you remember last week, now all of the Copilot and Copilot Studio content is also being dropped down in the roadmap section so that you can be fully updated about everything happening.